Here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Give me what
6.
you got for a pork chop, as Chingy said.
Here, we'll go in order on it. So Cincinnati at Alabama. Eye test wise, I think we all really know exactly what direction this game's going to go in, and I don't see why Alabama doesn't cover the minus 13.5 against Cincinnati. We could be surprised a little bit because Cincinnati has got such this chip on its shoulder. They felt disrespected last year. This year, they got enough respect because everybody cannibalized themselves enough for them to get in as an undefeated team. But Cincinnati just hasn't been convincing enough this year. And at the end of the day, Nick Saban's going to always have his guys ready. And we saw that against Georgia in the SEC championship game. So I'll go ahead and take Alabama minus 13.5.
Baker has a chip on his shoulder, by the way, so chips don't mean shit to me.
That's true. That is true. Baker, the chips that he has on his shoulder, he throws them to the defenders. But nonetheless, we'll take Alabama by 2 touchdowns. They'll get it done.
Baker's the guy in Vegas who gets so hammered, and you just go, "Hey man, take this chip, man. Go make a bet. Make a bet."
All right. Well, what it is he's the whipping boy of the NFL at this point. He's kind of like, how people talk about people that work at McDonald's. Like that's like whenever somebody's like flipping burgers, they're like, you're gonna be flipping burgers or something. It's like at McDonald's, it's like McDonald's is like the whipping boy of a job for society for whatever reason, as if we don't need people working at McDonald's or something. But so yeah, we'll go ahead and take Alabama minus 13.5. Next game, we got Georgia, Michigan. I have been teetering about the spread on this game. Honestly, it opened up at 8. It's at 7.5 now. A part of me wants to say that Georgia should beat them and cover this spread, but I'm just going to take the easy way out. I think Georgia's going to win the game. I don't know if they're going to cover the spread though, honestly, because
I don't either.
Especially with Kirby coming out and saying that Stetson's going to be the starter, and it wasn't even thought about. Media. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think this game will be a little bit closer than people might think it will because it's not as Georgia pretty much beats them in every position group except maybe pass rush because we know that Michigan's got 2 dogs on the ends. But outside of that, and they've got a pretty good running back too. But Georgia by committee should be able to match him, is what I'm saying. Like
you say pass rush, but would you give Georgia the edge in front 4?
In totality, yeah, for sure. Jordan Davis, yeah. I think all in all, front 4, yeah. All in all, I would give a slight edge to Georgia, but I think that they definitely have a better pass rush.
I will argue that. I'm not a Georgia homer or anything, not at all.
Yeah, but I would say that. So we'll take Georgia on the money line here, just because that spread. I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia covers the spread, but I'm just going to go ahead and take the safe bet. I think that they're going to win the game. And so next game, we got the Citrus Bowl. We got Kentucky and Iowa. This one's actually a relatively easy one. I think that Kentucky was vastly underrated this season. I think they were a lot better than people think that they are. Stoops' brother, not Bob. What's his damn name? Mark Stoops. He's been there, and he's kind of been having that thing cooking to where they've been, they're never going to be Georgia or Florida. But they sure as fuck can be ranked and get in spots like this when they play against an Iowa team that they're better than because they play the better talent all throughout the season. And for what it's worth, Kentucky, I'm sure that Kentucky gets probably about the same amount of talent that Iowa gets. Iowa's tight end you, by the way. They got another really good tight end there. They had Kittle and Hawkinson, obviously, who are both phenomenal in the league. But I like Kentucky in this spot. The SEC hasn't won a bowl game all year. They're 0-4 after Mississippi State lost last night. And let me see. Is Georgia the first?
These bowl records don't mean shit when it's the bowls that nobody cares about. Like, let's talk about the bowls that the top 15 teams are playing in, and then let's talk about who's playing. Don't talk to me about the Meineke Car Care Bowl. I'll never get a Meineke sponsorship because I keep shit on that bowl. But don't tell me about that bowl because, hey, man, we don't care. You better talk to me about
Meineke. No, I was going to say, when I think of Meineke, I think of George Foreman.
Same.
You remember He used to do those commercials. It's like you see this bald headed George Foreman. I'm like, where's the grill, asshole? You know? I do. When you look at George Foreman, you just think of like him holding.
Yeah, you think of the grill. I don't even think of the boxer because of my age. I think of the grill.
Yeah. And so
I'm gonna knock out these steaks.
Or what's he had his daughter that boxed too, Frida Foreman, and then there's Layla Ali. Like both of them had daughters that just so happened to box.
Yeah.
And I think didn't Layla Ali die?
I don't think so.
One of his daughters died, like before he did.
I think Layla Ali is. Let's see. Yeah, she's an American TV personality apparently.
Somebody died. One of their daughters died, but
yeah, she's still kicking.
It might have been Foreman's daughter.
Well,
nonetheless,
let's get back to these picks.
All right, give me Kentucky on the money line against Iowa. I think Iowa, as good as they've been defensively, pretty much all season. The juice really ran out with that team, and they weren't as good as they were. Never really the number 2 team in the country. But Kentucky, to me, they've got the talent. They're actually a really solid team this year. Yeah, I just like the strength of schedule a little bit more. So give me Kentucky against Iowa. Next game, we got the Fiesta Bowl. We got Oklahoma State and Notre Dame. This one, honestly, it might be one of the easier games to bet on. As much as I would like to take Notre Dame money line, I like the under at 45. I actually don't see very many points getting scored in this game. Notre Dame can kind of run it up, and I know that 45 is kind of a low number, but a lot of people have to almost look at it this way. Oklahoma State probably have the second best defense in the Power Fives behind Georgia all year. They played a really solid schedule, obviously, beating Oklahoma. And Notre Dame's not one of those teams that just lights up the scoreboard, not when it comes to them playing against a solid team like Oklahoma State, who is exactly what they are. They're solid. And I know that most bowl games typically go over because, well, it's a bowl game, right? It's about the entertainment factor. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this game went under. So I'm going to go ahead and roll with the under at 45.
Okay.
Next game, we got the Rose Bowl. We got Utah versus Ohio State. Go ahead and let me slap 5 on Ohio State. Give me that -4.5. I'm going to take them on the spread because Utah has been a solid team all year. And we got to see them fucking backstroke Oregon 2 times. Like in the last two out of the last 3 games, they played Oregon and they just fucking mollywopped them. Absolutely. Ohio State's a little bit different of a beast, even though Ohio State lost to Oregon. I get that. Ohio State's a solid team. They're just really young, and they kind of had overachieved anyways. I expect them to kind of handle work against Utah. I just do.
So we got Ohio State -4.5.
Yep, Ohio State -4.5. And then for the final game, we got Baylor and Ole Miss. This one's going to be pretty entertaining. It's the Sugar Bowl. It's at Caesars Superdome, New Orleans. I'm sure – I know you're not going to be out there, but if it's anything like what the Marshall boys were doing, I expect there to be a lot of drinking. And so if there's a lot of drinking, that means there's going to be a lot of points. So I like the over in this game at 55.5. Obviously, Ole Miss can put the points up on the board, and Baylor's going to have to do that in order to keep up. I like Ole Miss too, money line, honestly, but either way, Baylor, they had a pretty solid defense themselves this year. But at the same time, I totally expected this game to go over because Ole Miss is going to get at least 30 themselves. So I like over 55.5 in that game.
New Year's in New Orleans. All right, so we got Cincy versus Alabama. We're going to take Alabama -13.5. They're going to win by 2 touchdowns because Cincy doesn't belong on the same field. Sorry, Luke. Yeah. UGA on the money line because we're starting Stetson. We got Kentucky on the money line. We got the OK State and Notre Dame game under 45. We're going to take Ohio State -4.5. And then in the Baylor versus Ole Miss, we're going to go over 55.5 because there's going to be no defense because those DBs are going to be drunk.
Precisely.
All right.